Hello, so I haven't posted in a few days. Welcome back. More than likely, you've never seen me before, so welcome for the first time. And this is my little daily diary. Little daily diary. I think it's so funny that there are certain things that, like, subconsciously signal things that you don't even notice. The fact that, for example, people consider calling something your little business, your little boyfriend, your little job, your little whatever it is, right? People are like, oh, that's, somebody trying to diminish you or whatever. But I'm like, it is little. My channel only has 50 subscribers. This video will probably only get 10 views over the course of my entire life. Anyway, so back to my little channel. So, first of all, I've been doing a lot of philosophizing. I'm a modern philosopher. You cannot tell me any different. I am truly a modern philosopher because I'd be philosophizing every day. Like today I was trying to figure out like whether God exists, and like if God exists, is Christianity the best mode to God? And yesterday I was trying to figure out how, if 1 in 100 people is a psychopath, and psychopaths tend to have traits that make them more successful, and we take advice about how to be successful from people, that means if you listen to, and by the way, psychopath rate is higher among CEOs, 3 times higher. So that means if you take advice from 100 successful people, some of it is literally psychopathic advice. And how that means as a society, as capitalism becomes more and more of a burden on us, we are actually training each other to become sociopaths. Sociopaths are psychopaths by choice, by environment, whatever, by force, not because they emotionally don't feel anything, but they just do what they have to do, right? So we're actually training, capitalism is training people to be sociopaths. That's what I was philosophizing about yesterday. It almost made me late to a birthday party because I was thinking about it so deeply. And then today, I've spent my evening trying to understand what a goal is. A goal is a behavior applied consistently that makes your desired state almost inevitable. Yes, that's Alex Hormozi's wording, not mine. However, I was trying to figure out, like, what the fuck? Like, how do you figure out what a goal is? First of all, speaking of goals, I need to work out. Anyway, I'm gonna visualize it, but at the top, he calls them drivers. I call them values. Whatever. I need to talk to like a biologist or something. But drivers. We have drivers. Like things that inherently make us feel good or bad. So for example, a psychopath does not feel bad when hurting others. A sadist might actually feel good while hurting others. And to you, you're like, what the fuck? That doesn't make sense. Why would you like that? What about that do you like? It's because you don't have the same drivers. You're not wired for that shit. Anyway, so first we have drivers. Things that we're wired to feel good or bad doing. Whether it be interacting with people, interacting with ourselves, etc., etc., etc. Sex can feel good. But there are people who are asexual. It's not a driver. It actually doesn't feel like anything to them. Being kind to others feels good. But there's people for whom being mean to others feels good. Oh, good night. So stop trying to understand people who just are literally wired with different drivers than you. But this also means, this is very important, because this also means how to live a right life doesn't exist. There's no right way to live a life. There's only a life that works for what fulfills your drivers. And yes, morality is a dimension. Oh, another thing, I've spent the past couple of days philosophizing about the dimensions. Whoa, that's trippy. I still haven't figured out how to explain what I'm saying there to be able to say it on YouTube. But anyway, I do believe morality is a dimension, quite literally. But in the context of this argument, a dimension, another aspect of human experience. So morality is a dimension. So if you take like President Trump or whatever, and he does things that you consider immoral, he's just doing things that feel good to his drivers. I don't know what his drivers are. I don't care what his drivers are. His drivers are different than mine. I don't need to argue about what other people's drivers are or not, or should or shouldn't be. Also, there's a pause button on the camera now. Wow. I hope I'm recording this right, because I've never seen that button before. Anyway, we all have different drivers, which means the same exact life, can feel different for all of us based off what feels good for us. Drivers are the top level. Next level, values. When people say, oh, I value family, I value spending time with my family. It's like, you value spending time with your family because you have a positive affect towards intimacy with people, because you have a positive affect towards stability. Family makes you more stable, right? When someone says they have a value, it's actually like a bunch of different drivers combining in a package. Family is a package for a bunch of drivers: stability, intimacy, blah 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 blah. If you value quote unquote success, however you define that, you probably have a driver of ego. Welcome to the club. Do you see what I'm saying? So all the things we consider values are actually different packages of drivers. This is my philosophy on this, me philosophizing. Drivers, we're either, I don't know where drivers come from. I think drivers are influenced by another dimension, and we experience drivers on a chemical level. That's it, because it either feels good or doesn't, and the only way you know something feels good is if it chemically registers in your body and brain. Well, ultimately, everything has to register in your brain, because even things that feel good in your body go back and signal to your brain that they felt good. So yes, our core drivers are set at a chemical level in our brain, which is also why you can change the type of person you are by doing drugs or taking medication to chemically alter how you respond to the same drivers and change what things give you joy or anger or peace or whatever. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, so you have our drivers that are set at a chemical level. Then you have our values, which are different packages of drivers. Then you have desires, which is the specific instances of what you want that value to look like. So let's say you value success. Desire, what do you define success as? And so you define success as like having $1 million or whatever, or having a boat, or having chains, or whatever. And to be quite honest, you can set incorrect desires. So for example, you desire to have designer clothes because it feeds your driver of ego, but designer clothes actually make you more poor. So if you value success because it's driving your ego, but then you skip that by just getting designer stuff, which makes you less successful because you have less money now, but you're feeding your ego still. It's technically a wrong, quote unquote, wrong desire, because in aggregate, across life, you experience less of your driver being satisfied. It's complicated, it's fine. Anyway, a goal is a specific behavior that makes your desired outcome inevitable. So, for example, if you want to be at peace, which means you want to be healthy and independent, which means you have to work out, which means you should weightlift 3 times a week. If you weightlift 3 times a week, it's nearly inevitable that you will have better functioning movement, and better functioning movement means you'll be independent in your movement. Independent in your movement means that you'll have autonomy. And having autonomy means you will feel good. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. I get it. I understand it doesn't make sense. I'm just figuring this shit out myself. I also figured out that one of my drivers is definitely ego. That's why I make content so much. Because it's not making me money. So yeah. There's no wrong way to live a life. We all live lives according to the desires we're trying to fulfill, and the desires we're trying to fulfill are just different packages of the values that we want to experience, and the values we want to experience are just different combinations of our core drivers. And we all have different drivers, core drivers. And that's why a life that feels and looks great to me feels and looks crazy to you, and it's stupid of us for us to argue with each other about who's living life right outside of the dimension of morality. Because if I make a bunch of content, I become a YouTuber, I'm famous, I enjoy it because I'm driven by ego. You hate it because you're driven by peace, privacy. Privacy is a value of what? Stability. Yeah, because fame is not stable. I'll tell you that. People be in your shit all the time. Anyway, good night.